He said he owned 3 companies. She believed every single word. But one day, she followed him to work, and what she discovered absolutely shattered her heart. This isn't just another story about lies and betrayal. This is about a man so afraid of losing love that he built an entire fake life. And what happened when the truth came out? Man, you need to hear this till the end. Trust me, this one's gonna hit you right in the feels. I actually had to pause when I first heard this story, because it reminded me of something my own family went through. Ethan pulled up to the house in his sleek black BMW every evening at exactly 6:30. Designer suit, leather briefcase, that confident smile. His wife Sophie would watch him from the window, her heart swelling with pride. "That's my husband," she'd think. "I'm so lucky." He'd talk about board meetings over dinner. "The investors loved my presentation today," he'd say, loosening his tie. "We're expanding to 3 more cities next quarter." Sophie would listen, amazed at how far he'd come. Her friends were jealous. "Girl, you hit the jackpot," they'd say. And she believed it. But here's the thing about lies. They're like cracks in a dam. Small at first, barely noticeable, but eventually, they break everything wide open. Ethan would rush to grab the mail before Sophie could see it. Phone calls? He'd step outside. Bills? "Don't worry about those, honey. I've got it handled." There was always an excuse, always a smooth explanation. And Sophie, she wanted to believe him so badly that she ignored the tiny voice in her head saying something wasn't right. Now, what happens next? Man, this is where my heart just sank. Because we've all had that moment where something doesn't add up, right? It started with a red envelope. You know the kind. Urgent, final notice. Sophie found it wedged under the car mat when she was cleaning. Final notice. Car payment 90 days overdue. Her hand started shaking. Ethan owned 3 companies, right? Why would a car payment be overdue? Then came the lease renewal notice. Addressed to Mr. James Chen, at their address. Their beautiful house with the white columns and marble entryway. Rented. Under someone else's name. When she asked Ethan about it, he barely looked up from his phone. "It's complicated, babe. Business stuff. Tax reasons. You wouldn't understand." That phrase, "you wouldn't understand." It stung more than she wanted to admit. One Tuesday afternoon, Sophie made a decision. She was going to visit his office. Surprise him with lunch maybe. Be the supportive wife. She put on her best dress, made his favorite sandwiches, and drove to the address on his business card, Mitchell and Ethan Enterprises, CEO. The GPS took her to an industrial area. Warehouses, loading docks. She thought maybe she'd gotten the address wrong. But then she saw it. The black BMW. His car. Parked outside a delivery company warehouse. And there he was, her husband. Her CEO husband, wearing a bright orange safety vest. Loading boxes onto a truck. Not managing, not in a meeting, loading boxes. Sophie just sat there in her car, watching. One of the other workers slapped Ethan on the back, laughing. "Hey rookie, you getting faster. Maybe in a year, you'll be as quick as me." They all laughed, and Ethan laughed too. But it wasn't his confident CEO laugh. It was different, smaller, real. When she told me this part, I literally got chills. Can you imagine? The person you thought you knew just vanishes in front of your eyes. Sophie drove home in complete silence. No radio, no tears, just silence. She sat on the couch and waited. When Ethan walked in at 6:30, designer suit perfectly in place. She didn't say anything at first, just looked at him, really looked at him. "How was work?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Exhausting. 3 meetings back to back. But we closed the Richards deal, so stop." Sophie's voice cracked. "Just stop, Ethan." The look on his face, man, I wish you could have seen it. All the color just drained away. He knew. Right then, he knew she knew. "Why did you lie to me?" Sophie asked. Not angry, not yelling. Just hurt. So deeply hurt. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This next part made me tear up the first time I heard it. Real talk. Grab a tissue if you need one. And that's when Ethan broke. I'm talking full breakdown. He collapsed onto the floor, buried his face in his hands, and the truth just poured out. I grew up with nothing, Sophie. Nothing. I shared a bedroom with 3 brothers. We ate cereal for dinner because that's all we could afford. In high school, kids made fun of my shoes. They called me poor boy so much, I started believing that's all I'd ever be. He looked up at her, tears streaming down his face. When I met you, God, Sophie, you were so beautiful, so smart, so everything. You came from a good family. Your father's a doctor. Your friends all married successful men. And me? I'm just a delivery driver trying to make ends meet. I thought if you knew the truth, you'd never love someone like me. So, I lied. I rented the fancy car. The house wasn't even mine. I bought suits on credit cards I can't pay off. I built this whole fake life because I was terrified of losing you. Sophie didn't say anything. She just stood up, walked to the bedroom, and closed the door. The next morning she was gone. Left a note. I need time to think. Please respect that. Sophie stayed at her sister's place for 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, Ethan did something he should have done from the beginning. He stopped pretending, returned the leased car, moved into a small studio apartment, showed up to his delivery job every day in his orange vest, not hiding anymore. His coworkers noticed the change. You okay, man? And Ethan would just nod. Yeah, I'm trying to be more honest, starting with myself. This is the moment that changed everything for me. Because what Sophie does next, most people wouldn't have the courage. One Friday evening, Ethan finished his shift and walked to the bus stop. No more fancy car. And there she was, Sophie, sitting on the bench, waiting. His heart stopped. She looked up, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. I've been thinking a lot, Sophie said softly. About us. About what you said. She stood up, walked closer. When I fell in love with you, it wasn't because of a car or a house or some made-up companies. It was because of the way you made me laugh. The way you remembered my coffee order. How you'd leave little notes in my lunch bag. That was real, Ethan. That was you. Tears welled up in Ethan's eyes. I'm so sorry, Sophie. I don't have anything to offer you except the truth, she interrupted. And that's all I ever wanted. She reached out and took his hand. We're gonna have to rebuild. The trust, the life, everything. And it's not gonna be easy, but I'd rather struggle with the real you than live in luxury with someone fake. They stood there at that bus stop, holding hands, both of them crying. No mansion, no BMW, just 2 people choosing truth over illusion. And you know what? That moment was more beautiful than any lie he'd ever told. Look, I've shared so many stories on this channel, but Ethan and Sophie's journey taught me something I keep coming back to. Here's what their story means. Pretending to be someone you're not is the loneliest thing in the world. Because even when people love you, you know they don't really love you. They love the character you're playing. And that's exhausting. That's heartbreaking. The right person will love you in your studio apartment just as much as they would in a mansion. They'll love you in your work uniform just as much as in a designer suit. Because real love isn't about what you have. It's about who you are when everything else is stripped away. If you're watching, and you've been hiding parts of yourself, thinking you're not good enough, please hear me. You are enough, exactly as you are. Your story, your struggles, your real life. That's what makes you beautiful. Don't rob someone of the chance to love the real you by showing them a fake version. Have you ever felt pressure to be someone you're not? Or maybe you've been in Sophie's position, discovering someone you loved wasn't who they claimed to be. Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more real, honest stories about life, love, and finding the courage to be yourself. Remember, honesty isn't just the best policy, it's the only foundation strong enough to build a real life on. Stay true, stay real, and I'll see you in the next one.